Pedro from A&P-REACTS. I'm here today with Bill Hudson of Northtale to talk about Northtale and everything that is happening in your camp. How's it going?
Great, man. How are you, my friend?
Nice to see you. I'm doing great. How you've been keeping? It's been, I would say, a few months since the last time we chatted.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, nothing has changed in the world. It's crazy, isn't it? Like, I remember when we talked, it was like the beginning of this, and then it's still here.
It's like Groundhog Day every day.
Dude, yeah. Well, you know what, man? It was Groundhog Day at the beginning. Now I'm starting to question my sanity. I really am. You know, like I catch myself thinking, wait, did I do this or not? Or is today Thursday? You know, it's just well, at the same time though, I've been like full on recording, and you know, I never put so much work and effort into anything as I'm doing on this new album, you know. So that's literally all that my life has revolved around, just record this album and be in this very room that I'm sitting at right now. So quarantine or not, I guess I would be doing that.
That actually takes me to my first question that I have for you, which is going perhaps a little bit further back. You know, you guys had to fill in a role of having a lead singer. How was the process for you to find the right person for that specific role?
Oh God, man, that sucked. To be honest, like so far, that's been the worst thing that's happened since the band started. Straight up, you know what I mean? Like I didn't expect it to happen. Well, I can say I was surprised either, you know, that this had to happen, but I didn't expect to. I was hoping that things could get fixed, and I was hoping that the little bit of attention that we were getting would help things kind of, you know, sort of work out, but that didn't happen. So we had to part ways, and that was all the way back in February. Honestly, that was before the pandemic, you know.
Yeah.
But we didn't tell anyone. There was really no reason to. You know, we couldn't play, and we're I mean, at this stage we're not really a big band. You know, people. I hate to say it sounds like this, but it's true. Like people don't necessarily care about us enough, you know, to say, oh, this guy is changed the singer. You know what I mean? So we try to keep it quiet as much as possible. And then eventually, Christian made the choice to come out and say that he was out of the band. That's when I said it. You know, that's when we made the announcement. We were silently looking for a new singer from the beginning, and I have auditioned everyone. You know, I always say that, like everyone that is a good singer in power metal right now, at least I talked to them a little bit. You know, like I'm not saying I got auditions from everyone, but you know, at least we're like, hey, what are you doing? You know, or like, and I got contacted that by the other half. You know, like I talked to like, I don't know, 40 singers, and because I had a very specific type of singer in mind. You know what I mean?
I was going to ask you, did you have an idea exactly of what you wanted, or you were kind of like testing the waters to see what would work?
No, I mean, I was open to different things, you know, so to speak. Like someone with a completely different voice. Like I talked to a few guys that are more bluesy and stuff, like friends of mine. Actually, a very good friend of mine from Canada. But it didn't. At the end of the day, like I started the band and doing this because of a very specific type of voice. You know, I am a huge fan of Dio, in that drive, you know, they're like heavier driving, more manly, so to speak, vocal, you know, like Dio and even Halford. And I'm a huge fan of those singers, but that's not what I was looking for the band at all. You know, like the more guys like that scream really high and really aggressively that I talk to, the more I was like, you know what, that's not what I want to do, because I think that's already being done so well. You know what I mean? Like, not to say that the music we do hasn't been done, but it, I don't know. It's just like, it's the vision, you know, like I wanted a very clean singer. Now, a very specific influence that I was looking for, someone that, you know, that they were inspired by, was Andre Matos, the Brazilian singer, the first singer for Angra.
Angra.
He is one of my favorite musicians of all time. And I wanted someone who sounded not like him, but someone that that knew who he was, someone who was familiar with his work, someone that knew a little bit of what his voice was like. So I wanted someone that knew that. I wanted someone that knew Michael Kiske really well. I wanted someone that knew even like Timo Kotipelto really well. You know, that's not the kind of voice that people want to hear here in America, you know, and that's also not what's available, you know. But there's a few guys that do this really well. And like I said, I talked to all of them, and ultimately I had made a decision already with an European guy he's probably more well known than the band is, you know. So I was almost like, why do you want to be in the band? Actually, I straight up asked him, like, why, you know, like what, like, I'm not gonna hire you. You're gonna have to be a part of the band, you know. Like, no, I want to do it. I see, okay. And that guy was basically hired. Until one day I got a text from this random kid from Brazil. And right off the bat, I was discouraged because not that I have any problem with Brazilians or anything, but I wanted someone either here in the States, you know. I said that on the interview with you last time. I remember that. I wanted someone in the States, either in the States or in Europe. You know, the guy I had was in Europe, and that was fine too, because I mean, those are the two places we're gonna play, you know. So it's just the most, you know, it just made sense. So I get a message from this guy from Brazil, and he's, you know, basically telling me that he would like to audition and all that. And I actually told him that we had someone already. You know, I wasn't auditioning anymore. But at the same time, I remember how I ended up in America, you know, which was joining a band that already had someone, and I was persistent. And that was Salvador at the time, my first band, you know. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give this guy a chance. I was like, you know what, send me a song. And then he did, and he just blew my mind. I'm like, okay, this is pretty good, you know. So then I sent him 3 more songs, and he sent it all back. And I'm like, okay, this is pretty impressive, actually. And there was more people in the band that also didn't want anyone from South America or from like a difficult place to reach, or Japan, you know. So I sent the auditions to this one guy that didn't want it, and he was like, oh my God, that's amazing. Who's that? And I was like, yeah, that's the dude from Brazil. And then I started sending him to industry people, you know, like a few industry friends, like journalists, people from labels, and people from our label said that they knew who he was already, our singer, from his other band, Trauma, or Träume, I guess it's in German. And the label knew who he was. A lot of people knew who he was, you know. And I was like, you know what, this might be our guy, man. So I at this point, I was already not writing, but I was already sending ideas back and forth with the other singer. And I was like, let me try this with this dude. And then his first demo, I was like, okay, there's no contest anymore. That's the guy, you know. He wasn't that, like I said, he's not necessarily better than the other guy. I mean, I think all the singers that I talk to are amazing at something, you know, at what they do. Guilherme just has the voice I was looking for. He just has he even kind of has a similar voice to Christian in a way, you know. They have like different influences, but I feel that they sound alike a lot of the time. That was important to me too, you know. I didn't want to change completely the face of the band, because the fans knew a lot of fans knew us because of Christian. So I had to get someone that could respect those songs as well, you know. So it was a long process, but we ended up settling on Guilherme Hirose. And bro, I gotta tell you, that was the best thing that could have happened for the band, you know, like that. The whole time, even before, I always thought that something was missing, you know. I was like, there's something still, no, this is it, you know. Like I guess everyone says that, you know, our new album is the best, our new lineup is the best. Everybody always says that. But the process of to write and work and finish this album, we're almost done. This album compared to the first one was night and day, you know. So like things worked a lot more the way that, at least the way that I envisioned this time around. You know, this album like is making me hate the first one. I can't even listen to the first one anymore, you know. Because the other day in my car I tried, and I start thinking, because also the first album was completely self-produced, you know, and now we have Dennis Ward, one of the best producers in the business, producing us. So now I listen to the first album and I'm like, that part, I should have done that. Oh, that right there. You know, like I keep hearing all kinds of things that I hate about it now. But I mean, it's good because I remember 2 years ago when that album was coming out, not quite 2 years ago, a year and a half, I was wondering if I would be able to top it. You know, I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do better than this album. And now I did like 15 times better than that album. So it was a learning process, but it was awesome, dude. I mean, there's a lot of things musically that I wasn't able to express on the first album because of the issues I was having with our singer that now are not happening, you know, like, so there's a yeah, we're still power metal, but we're getting super heavy. Sometimes we're getting very Brazilian. That was the thing too, you know. I'm bringing in Brazilian music influences, traditional folk Brazilian music influences. Not a lot, not everywhere, but there's spots here and there. And I needed a singer that knew that shit, you know.
Yeah. That can represent it properly.
Yeah, dude. No, I'm very, very excited. I couldn't be any more excited about this album. It's gonna be at least either you know, either I have terrible taste or
you hit the nail on the head.
yeah. At least it's gonna sound amazing to my ear so far.
So you said that some of the guys didn't wanted somebody as you really fought because you didn't wanted somebody outside of continental USA or, you know, Canada, USA or Europe. What sold the rest of the guys on Guilherme? Like, what was the decisive factor? Once they heard the demos, they were like, okay, you know what? It doesn't matter where this guy is. They could be on the moon.
Yes,
we got to go.
Yeah,
with
that's exactly what he was, because he was, man, it's hard to describe, you know, because like some of the people that audition are people that I respect like a lot, you know, that I thought would nail it. Oh, there's my dog. He always needs to be on interviews. That's but I auditioned some guys that I thought would nail it, and in a way they did. But it was always like, you know, it's not quite there. You know, it's not quite there. Almost disappointing in a way. Not disappointing, but being like, fuck, you know, I would hope that this guy would sing the songs differently, you know. Whereas with Guilherme, there was not a note, or there was nothing. It was perfect. You know what I mean? It was even the demos were like perfectly mixed. The way he filmed himself, the way he was singing, the way he was pronouncing the words, because he's from Brazil. That's a big thing. You know, singers from Brazil can't speak English for shit. You know, most of them can't speak. So he was, I mean, it was perfect. It was like all the other auditions were here and then his was here. You know, it was just the right guy for the band. And again, nothing to do with ability. I mean, you know, if I was pressed to say, I would say that there had some singers that are better technically than he is, you know, but just like the way he filled the role is like, even his look, his personality, everything, you know. But still, even though they were on board, we still, like I said, you know, most musicians from Brazil have a hard time with English. They can write online, kind of, but when it comes to speaking, they have no idea what the fuck they're saying. And I see that a lot whenever there's another Brazilian around, and I can tell that they're not understanding what's going on, you know. So with him, I was like, all right, man, so you're almost in, but now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do a Zoom meeting with everyone in the band, because, you know, we come from different places. Freaking Midwest USA, Jimmy talks like a redneck. then Michael is Swedish. Patrick is a Swedish redneck, You know, he's a mix of both. And then me with my Brazilian accent, I'm like, dude, if you can keep a conversation with all five of us without getting lost, then you got the job. And that's what I did. You know, we all called and we all sort of interviewed him, all asking him questions. I remember Patrick being like, why do you want to be in the band? And then he would say, he's like, okay, well, you can do that in Brazil. Just so, but I mean, it was a part of it too, you know, like the personality thing, man. You know, this is my first band that I'm not getting paid to work. You know what I mean? That is my band.
It's your band. It's your band.
Yeah. So this is the first time that this is happening. So there's a lot of things that I'm learning on the fly. I never realized how important this personality part was. You know what I mean? Because when I work, I can just be whoever's paying me.
Yeah.
You know,
You're getting paid to play, so it doesn't really matter.
Whatever, you guys want to hang out, I'll hang out. You guys don't hang out, that's fine. I'll go to bed. You know, like I'm always that guy. But in this band, you know what I mean? Like when we did get together and I started noticing the personality clash like that was happening, I was like, fuck, man, is that really that important if we can all be professional? You know? No, but it is, man. It's a whole different thing now.
How much of the creative process has he been a part of? Is he like really taking hands-on approach, or most of the creative process behind the new record falls on your shoulders?
Oh no. Okay, so on the new record, I wrote all of the songs, and I wrote probably 95% of the vocal melodies. You know, then there's a lot of stuff that Dennis did, our producer. Not a lot, but there, you know, I would say like 5% he did. And then Guilherme wrote quite a few lyrics, man, most lyrics, and he did. And that honestly, good question, because that was another thing that I really liked about him was his lyrics. When he brought them, there were a few grammar issues here and there, you know, just but these are things that I'm not sure people in Europe would even notice. I just know
they probably wouldn't notice at all.
Yeah, exactly. But like, so yeah, a few grammar issues. Sometimes I was like, what do you mean here? What do you mean there? But they all had good titles. All the titles of the new songs, pretty much he titled. I might have titled one, two. So he has the titles. And one thing, man, I always say as a songwriter, one thing that you cannot get around is your title should be on your chorus. You know, there's a lot of people that's oh no, it's not like that because I'm artistic. My title is not even in the lyrics. Well, okay, that's fine, you know, but that's not the kind of music that I make. Like the title needs to be on the chorus, and it needs to be at a strategic place. It needs to be the first thing, it needs to be the last thing. It needs to be at a point where when you hear it, you know it's the name of the song. That's, you know, every single lyric that he sent me was like that. You know, I would hear and be like, oh, I can tell what the title is right here. You know, like he was really good at that. Also, I would sit with him on like we are now with a camera and work with the lyrics together. That's never happened before. You know, like it was either my lyrics or your lyrics. You know, it was like, so the fact that me and Guilherme were able to, hey, this is the topic. You know, what are we gonna talk about? This was killer, you know. And there's things that he wrote about that only he could know that I don't. Like, for example, we have a specific song about Brazil in general, and we talk about our culture, we talk about our traditions, and specifically we talk about a lot of the beliefs in magic that we have there. You know, a lot of people in Brazil claim to talk to spirits and
the whole
the religion. And yeah, exactly. Guilherme knows all about that. Guilherme is a part of that. He wrote lyrics with the chants, with the words that they use. You know, it's all very authentic because he's just writing about himself. Mm-hmm. You know, we're not manufacturing this and try to be folk. It's just, it is folk, but it's our folk, the real folk that we live, you know, like that's actually shit that he sings, you know. So there's another song, it doesn't have any Brazilian music influences, but the lyrics are also about those beliefs, you know, and about things that only Guilherme knows because he's lived it through it, you know. there's a lot of lyrics that are kind of in the same vein as the first album, because I write them too. You know, I always like to talk about self-improvement, you know, and positivity and all that. So there's a couple of those lyrics too, but it's been awesome, man. Like Guilherme, he hasn't written songs this time around, but he wrote most of the lyrics, you know, and we worked on it together. It's been it's I give credit to I give a lot of credit to the new direction, to working with him creatively.
You feel like you have a partner, not just a band member.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, yeah. He's definitely not there. It's definitely more of a partner. He still acts a little bit like a hired gun himself, you know.
Yeah,
He's
yeah,
like,
like an
hey, how do you
outsider,
want
almost
this
like
to
an
go?
outsider.
Sometimes I tell him, hey, how about we try this? And he'll send me something back the way I said it, but it's terrible. Well, I'm like, okay, that was a bad idea. Oh, okay. I was like, why'd you even try? You know, it's like I'm not telling you to do it. I'm asking, what do you think? But it's okay. It's okay. We work better like that than if he said, nope, not trying it. You know.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you on that. Do you have a deadline for when you would like to see the album come out, or because of COVID and everything that is happening, that deadline perhaps a little bit more flexible?
Well, no, we do. I mean, it's not like a hard deadline, but I would like to get it out by the end of August at most, you know, because we do have a tour in November, and I want people to have the album kind of fresh in their ears, but know who the band is, you know. So September would be pushing a little bit, but that would be fine too. But August would be perfect, because that's also 2 years from the first one.
What is it harder, like to create your debut record, Welcome to Paradise, or to create a follow up? Outside of all the changes, outside of the of having a new lead singer, the new process, and everything like that, going in from the moment you said, okay, it's time for me to write a new record. Do you feel like the debut was harder to get off the ground, or is this one a little bit more
Oh,
challenging?
this one was way harder. This one was way harder because, first of all, at first I didn't think I could do better than the debut. You know what I mean? I know it has its flaws, or maybe I hear them now. I didn't at the time. I thought it was amazing. But I started, honestly, I started questioning that. You know, I was like, can I even do this? Can I even do? Because honestly, well, I mean, that's one thing that everyone says. But a lot of the songs on the debut I've had for years. You know, it wasn't. I maybe wrote 3 or 4 songs like after Christian came in. You know, but like most of it was stuff that I had since I was younger. And on this album, there's one song that's older, but everything else I wrote now. And but it was, man, it's kind of like it's a weird thing because I started working on this album like the very day I considered that I started was backstage in Japan when we played, the same day that we played our first show. What happened was I was backstage and I started getting this idea, this bass idea for some reason. That was the first thing to ever pop out in my head. And I walked up to our bass player and I'm like, hey, play this on bass. And then he played it and I kind of did the drums. I'm like, okay, yeah, this is our new song. He's like, what are you talking about? I was like, dude, this is going to be our new song. It's on the album. This song is on the album. So, okay, we started that. I started with the songwriting that day, that very moment. And also that day, I had the first serious issue with Christian, you know. So that's also when I was like, oh man, this is fuck so much work. And now this, you know, like, God damn it. Like fuck my life. Because that's the reason that I never had a band to begin with, was problems with singers, you know. I was like, I
Did you
worked with
think
the,
about singing yourself on the record, or was that never a
no,
possibility?
dude, I think about that every single day of my life. It would solve every issue I've ever had, you know. And I sing the demos, you know, like when I write the demos, I sing them, but I just don't think I have a good voice. You know, I can hit the pitches or whatever, but I don't think I have a good voice. Never did. And that's one of my biggest frustrations, because I wanted to pull a Kai Hansen. I always wanted to do that. And but dude, I mean, when that happened, I was like, fuck, man, is this gonna happen again? Like, am I really just gonna be a hired gun forever? And so after this problem in Japan, my wife has been in China for the past year and a half working, and so after Japan, I had a tour with Doro in Russia, but before I went there, I stopped by China. Well, you say like it's right next to it, but I went to China, and I stayed there with my wife for about a week or two, and during that, no, a week or two, that's not even true. A week or two, then I went on tour, and then I came back. I was there maybe for like 2 months, and after a while, I started getting really, really depressed. The internet not working. I can't communicate with anyone. My wife works 12 hours a day. I'm just by myself. So I wrote some of these songs, maybe 2 of these songs, just while I was in China. But I was in such a shitty, like, mental place that I couldn't really play them. You know what I mean? I mean, it's not that I couldn't play them. I obviously wrote them, but I wasn't playing well. I wasn't practicing enough. You
didn't have the drive.
Yeah. So I wrote some of these parts like on Guitar Pro, and I'm like, just whenever my mental state is better, I'll get back to it. So for this album, there's all kinds of different emotions and different points that I've been through that I wrote about. So there was the China songs, there was the Japan song, and then after that, there's the pandemic song. When the pandemic started, the first thing every goddamn band in the world did is release an album or a song about the pandemic. So I was like, all right, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that because everybody else will, So, but then I saw this video. I think it was the first time that people started talking about like how because people were quarantined, the earth was healing, and they were showing like fish in Venice.
I think the waters were all
dolphins in Venice. Yeah, that was really inspiring to me. When I saw that, I'm like, all right, so I need a song about this. I'm like, okay, fuck, there's a goddamn song about the pandemic, But it was under that perspective. The name, well, I don't want to say the name of the song yet, but it's more like it's on the perspective of nature fighting back. You know what I mean? It's more like we fucked up. Now we shut the fuck up and take it.
Yeah.
And that's a 12-minute song, which is something that I really wanted to have done on the first album, but again, we didn't. Like, I wanted a long epic song. This is the one, So there's that. There's a song about I also came up with this during the quarantine for whatever reason, because I was in quarantine and I started like missing Brazil, which never happens, but like I was like kind of freaked out of being by myself and all that, and I started missing Brazil, started looking up Brazil. I ended up on this video about he's a very famous, he's like a saint for us in Brazil. His name is Santos Dumont. He is regarded in Brazil as the inventor of the airplane. Now, according to my research, what really happened is the Wright brothers did it first, but he did it publicly. So, because he flew around the Eiffel Tower first. So basically, if I think about it, that makes sense. Like with the internet, without the internet, these guys flew here in, fucking Midwest Kansas City, buttfuck Kansas City. You don't hear about it for years.
Nobody knows.
Yeah. So here in America, of course, everybody knows the Wright brothers invented. Regardless of who did, this guy made it popular, and he was like a huge celebrity, and he lived he ended his days in Europe, really. And anyway, and I think his story is fascinating, because he killed himself when he saw, I don't know if he saw or if he found out that they were using planes on the war. He's like, I didn't create it for this, and he killed himself. You know, so I always thought his story was fascinating. So we have a song about this guy again. You know, sitting with a Brazilian singer talking about a Brazilian figure, even if we're writing in English, is a lot easier.
Yeah, yeah. You both are coming from the same place.
Yeah, exactly. So that's yeah, man. I mean,
you guys can feel each other's
what I'm trying to
pitches,
say
you know?
is it was harder because it's much more diverse. You know, on the first album, I'm not gonna lie. I read a lot of reviews, and a lot of people have told me too that the first album is too generic. You know, it's too much of power metal. Is I heard this before. Is it Gamma Ray? Is it Hammerfall? Is it Stratovarius? And I'm like, that's exactly what I wanted. You know, I wanted to like come out as a power metal band with a very clear mission. You know what I mean? Like you see a lot of bands that call themselves power metal right now. All that it is like metalcore with a melodic singer that isn't screaming. You know, that's not power metal. Like
I've never heard that description before. Metalcore with a with a melodic
well,
singer.
I mean, I won't name any names, but off the era, will just you know, some of these bands is like, okay, you're writing a Bullet for My Valentine song, and instead of growling, you got a girl to sing. You know, it's like, so it's fine. It's fine, and there's a big audience for that. But that I wanted to come out and be like, we are like Halloween, we are like Stratovarius, we're like Hammerfall. We you know, we wish we were one of these bands in '96, and we do. You know, that's what I wish I did back then, but I was 15. You know, so that was a very clear mission statement for the first album. Now, on the second one, so one trend that I've seen happen with a lot of my favorite bands, and even bands that I don't necessarily like, but are, you know, power metal or whatever, is you get a great first album, sometimes a better second album even, but then, you know, the third album just doesn't sound anything like it anymore. You know, it's just well, for example, one thing I see bands grow out of is the happy choruses. You know, you come out, the first album is fast melodic chorus, you know, happy anthemic Halloween chorus. Then the second album maybe has one or two songs like that. The third album is just I don't know why that happens. You know, I don't know. So that's never going to happen with this band. So it was important for me to keep the second record sounding like the first one. Like maybe 4 or 5 of the songs could be on the first album. You know, it's just a better version of that. But then add other influences as well. You know, we have a song that for the longest time we didn't have a title, so I just called it the Slayer song. You know, it has Slayer riffs. You know, it has a Slayer it has very Slayer things. What else? I have. God, there's so much. There's very orchestral things. We didn't really have a lot of orchestration on the first album. Maybe a little bit here and there, and definitely on the outro. But there's this time I actually have an orchestrator working with me, not on every song, but you know, there's very heavily orchestrated stuff. So it was definitely more work to do this album. Another thing that was very humbling, and I actually think it took me 38 years to get to that point to admit it, is some of the things that I'm recording still right now on the solos, they're just beyond my capability. You know, now you see people say that or whatever. No, but I mean, like, I literally write it and I want to hear it a certain way. And particularly with fast tempos, you know, like there's like a couple of songs that are like faster than what I can play that many notes in, you know, like 6 stoplets at so and so time BPM, and I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna nail it for this album. I'm not gonna fake it either. You know, like all my solos are one take. I'm not saying that they're not edited. They are. Probably are. I don't know if Dennis edits them, but I assume they are. Everything is edited nowadays. But what I'm not doing is sit and do a little part, sit and do another part.
Recording it piece by piece.
from the first note to the last note, the way I would do it live. You know, that's how the solo would have to be done. Of course, I would add little harmonies or whatever, but so a lot of the licks that I just had to accept that I couldn't play, and that I had to sit with a metronome like I'm 15. And I mean, I probably put in 80 hours on 2 bars on one of the songs, you know. And then, because then once I can do it, I need to be like, okay, will I be able to do this live? So I have to do it, you know. So I strap on the guitar, put on my wireless, and I play like it's a show. I'm like, okay, am I able to play this live? Yeah, okay. So now I'm going to practice for another 20 hours standing up, you know, and then I'll go record. So there's been a lot of that. Of course, when Welcome to Paradise was recorded, I didn't have this much time. You know, I was doing it in between tour. You know, I was do a tour, come home, record for like 2 weeks, go out on tour. Right now, I'm sitting here. I can sit and perfect these solos. You know, but like I said, instead of making a computer thing, making it super overproduced, I would rather just practice and become better at guitar than better at editing.
Yeah, having the extra time allows you to be a little bit more crafty in terms of finalizing the product the way you want. Now, I wanted to ask you this, even in general, but are you a fan of having like guest appearances on your records, or you like your album to be your album with your band, and not really depend on somebody else to come in and do a chorus here or there, or a solo here, a solo there?
So that's a good question. We are gonna have a very big guest on this album. You know, I can't say who it is yet. There's, you know, how those things go. But we're gonna have a very big guest. We might have another one. And we had an even bigger guest who backed out. Kind of pissed me off. But was gonna be on the record. So what I think about that is, it used to be super cool. Like, I remember there's, you know, gamma ray stuff that Michael Kiske comes in and sings, you know, like that's cool. The problem is right now with the internet and Facebook and all that, you can literally get anyone to be a guest on anything, you know, like it doesn't even cost that much. Nobody has fucking money. They're home, you know. So, you know, you see all these certain musicians that are like on 6, 7 albums. I was becoming one of those. You know, I was guessing on everybody's stuff, and I had to stop a little bit. The guests that I'm gonna have on this album, they're not the ones that you see all the time. Definitely.
I'm assuming is vocal guests, right? You're not gonna have.
So far, vocal, one guitar, and yeah, probably those two. It was going to be 2 vocal guests, but the other one isn't going to happen anymore. So I mean, these are you know, people that either I think there are like good rising stars right now, or like people I grew up idolizing. You know, I definitely don't want to have some of the same names doing another thing on my album. You know what I mean? That I just think that because we know that Facebook is here and that's how you do it, it kind of kills the magic. You know what I mean?
I think it also dilutes the product a little bit, because if you see the same name featured like throughout one year, featured on 10 different records, it kind of takes a little bit away from the impact of having that guest on your album to begin with.
That's the thing too. That, you know, this guest that I'm bringing on this album is someone who, I mean, he has done guest appearances. In fact, some of my favorite like power metal songs have guest appearances from him too. But it's not someone that you see all the time now. In fact, some of the younger crowd might not even know who it is. You know, but yeah, it's very much my thinking. You know, it can be cool, and we're gonna do it this time. Now, the first album I didn't want to do it. Definitely didn't want to do it on the first album, especially because when we were doing the first album in 2017, all the bands were recording with the same people. You know, every guest singer was that one guy from the War Band. You know, and the long-haired guitar player in every record, you know what I mean? And then even there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that I want to be set apart a little bit, you know. Well, even my producer choice reflects that, you know, in a way, you know. I just want to be like the one band that does it a little bit different, because the music we do, everybody, you know, it's not like we're not reinventing the wheel. We're just trying to do it a little different. You know?
So when you look at this record, you're looking at August as the loose date for the release. You have almost the whole record finished off. Do you have a title for the album? Do you have a cover? Do you have an idea what do you want for those two things?
That's been another huge battle, man. We've had like 3 working titles so far. So I don't want to say what the working title is yet, because like I said, it's the 3rd one we've had. So it can change. Yes, we have just recently found the right cover artist, the right artist for the album, and we had a concept. We had a certain concept of, you know, like it was a loose concept, but I'm not sure that this new artist is gonna go for it, because what he described to me that he thought that he had in mind was actually cooler. You know what I mean? So, man, it's a weird thing. I don't have that visual mind. You know what I mean? I can't, like, when I Welcome to Paradise, I have no problem saying this publicly. You know, Welcome to Paradise, the cover was a T-shirt. You know, literally, the artist made a T-shirt design. I was like, I actually like that for the cover. Move the logo up, and we have an album cover. You know, so so the new one. I mean, yeah, I mean, we have the artist working on it, but I cannot say that I'm incredibly attached to the artwork, because I'm not. No, I'm really not, man. I I don't even know what my favorite song is. You know, this is why it's hard to pick a title. You know, I'm still very much. I'm still very much like trying to figure out what songs will be what. But this artist that we just hired is good at that. He's the best at that. He's the best at, you know, because I know friends of mine in the industry telling me that just tell him kind of what you have in mind, he'll do it. And that's kind of where we're at.
Are you going to depend on the label for help, at least to guide you a little bit on terms of what the singles will be once you start getting into that part of the release, or is that something that you like to keep control of, exactly what singles you're going to put out there?
You know, last album we asked for their opinion, and they gave it to us, and I can't remember if we actually agreed on that. That's another thing. I don't really know a first single right now, so I probably will have to have the label listen and tell me what they think, you know, because I can't. There's like, I don't know, 4 potential singles or something. You know, I when I write a song, I kind of write thinking of it as a single, you know, even if I'm trying to be more creative with it, I kind of, you know, so I don't know. I can't make that choice myself.
It's hard for you to see the forest from the trees.
Yeah, exactly.
So I have one more question for you, and that is, you already said with the album coming out in August, you mentioned briefly a tour. Was that the tour? Is that the tour with Unleash the Archers?
Yes.
You must be crossing your fingers, hoping that everything aligns perfectly so that tour goes on towards the end of the year, because that would be massive for you guys.
Honestly, man, I can't think of a better first tour for us. I cannot, you know, because I'll be honest. I think that Unleash the Archers has filled a void that's been there for years. You know what I mean? Yeah, they are a melodic. You know how I was talking about like metalcore bands with a girl? They are not that. You know, like they are not that. They are a band that actually grew from their first album a lot, and they sound amazing now. They're great live. They have an amazing singer. I think I think their crowd will appreciate what we do. Like I've seen a lot of their fans commenting stuff like, well, I haven't heard of Northdale before, but if they're on this tour, they must be fast. You know, yeah, we are fast. And nobody appreciates the fact that we're fast, you know, because we're not heavy. The metalcore guys don't care about fast. They care about heavy, you know. So if you're trying to break into a crowd that's looking for a heavy band, that's not going to work. Unleash the Archers fans are looking for speedy, high vocalist. You know, they don't want to hear anyone growling. You know, and a lot of these people, they Unleash the Archers have touched a lot of the younger people, which to me is mind blowing because it's very hard. You know, like a lot of the younger people that don't listen to like heavier, you know, the Lamb of Gods or the Peripheries or whatever. A lot of the people that are not into that listen to power metal and think it's like 80s hair metal. You know, it's like, I get that a lot. You know, you guys are like, you know, tight kettle. No, you know, maybe we sing the same note, but like, it's not. It's just that that's your idea of a guy singing and not growling. You know, so like, I think Unleash the Archers open up the whole market. You know, so for us to come in to a younger crowd playing a kind of music that they're probably not familiar with. You know, like I wouldn't guess that these people know Halloween and old Stradivarius, you know, will be great. Plus, it's 3 bands with different, like we're even 3 different products, you know, like they're a female fronted band. Then Striker is a 2-guitar, very traditional 80s band. And we're the Stradivarius wannabes, you know, like, so like the single guitar keyboard band, it's 3 different products to the same to a crowd that will appreciate it, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Now we could, you know, that's not to say I don't want to get on tour with Hammerfall or Ed Guy or whatever, but those crowds will be tougher on us than the Unleash the Archers crowd will, you know. Like the Hammerfall fans will be like, yeah, I heard that a million times before. You know, Unleash the Archers fans will be like, what, did this guy invent this music? What? I never heard this before, you know.
I think what they've done is absolutely phenomenal. Like they've been really able to carve not just a market for themselves, but they kind of reinvented that whole genre and they repackaged and delivered to a crowd that perhaps you would expect, to use your words, to listen to metalcore. So it's
exactly, they didn't know they wanted it. Is the way to describe it. That crowd didn't know they wanted that band, but I did. I've known that for 15 years. I've known, like, when the whole Killswitch Engage thing was happening back in like 2005, 2006. And then I saw Trivium playing solos. Dude, I saw it then. I'm like, okay, now the kids are getting into the solos. Next thing you know, people will be singing. And sure enough, now suddenly, you know, singing, screaming. And next thing you know, there will be a band that's only singing. There it is. It's them, you know. It's them, and the metal websites, the American tough guy metal websites embrace it. You know what I mean? They're not shit talking them, because you would expect that. You know, that they're not. They're, you know, their own top albums. It's amazing. It's amazing, and I'm really grateful that we get to go and support them. Also on their first headlining run, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Like in Europe. Maybe, I don't know if they ever headlined Europe before, but I mean, it will be good, man. I really, really, really am looking forward to it. I've known those guys for a little while, you know, that's the other mind-blowing thing to me, man. I met them in like 2015. You know, it was a different thing. You know. It's good, man. It's good.
The really, from that perspective, has changed a lot in those years, and they've changed a lot. And I think this bill, if everything goes forward and is able to happen, I think it's going to be a great tour for those that are able to attend. Because I think you 3 kind of complement each other well, and whoever can appreciate one can also appreciate the other. And I think that goes a long way when you're on tour and you have those 3 style bands put together.
Absolutely, man. I really, really hope it happens. Oh, if it doesn't happen now, eventually it will. So
yeah. But I mean, for you guys, I'm sure you're itching to get on the road. And once you have an album an album coming out, you know, like what's the next best thing? The next best thing is to go on the road and play those songs live.
Yeah, dude, for our sake, that would be awesome. You know, we didn't get to do a tour with the first lineup. We only did 3 shows, you know, 3 festivals. So it would be awesome to start. That would be the great, you know, a great beginning. Let's hope.
Let's hope, man. I'm keeping my fingers crossed for you guys.
Yeah, man. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, Bill, thank you very much for your time today, man. I really appreciate chatting with you, getting a little bit of an inside scoop in terms of what's happening in the Northtale camp. Thank you for your time. All the best to you and the guys. And hopefully I'll get to see you guys on the road at some point in time with this new record.
Thank you very much, my friend. I really, really hope that we will be in Canada at some point. At some point, anywhere, you know, anywhere.
At this point, anywhere.
Yeah,
At this point, at an IHOP. At an IHOP
Yeah.
across in
Down
Buffalo.
the street. Yeah, just a bar down the street. But dude, yeah, I mean, thank you so much for letting me come on and talk about it. If you're watching this and you don't know Northdale yet, you should check us out. We're official Northdale or Northdale official. I don't know.
I'll put all the links on the description of the video so everybody can go and check you guys out at your side on Facebook. They can follow everything that you guys are up to. So I'll put all the links in the description of the video to help those that are a little bit less crafty in terms of finding their path to your music.
Oh, yeah,
so
man.
I'll put it all there.
Awesome, man. Thank you very much, brother. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, man. All the best, man. Take care.